Hello everybody, welcome back to another KP's Plays YouTube video and Spotify podcast if you're listening over on the Spotify for Podcasters streaming service. This is our WWE Backlash predictions and opinions video / podcast, what we think is going to be happening at the Backlash event in San Juan, Puerto Rico this coming Saturday, May 6th. So obviously we have 7 matches all in total. I am joined today by Scarlett, and him and myself are going to be discussing everything in full, what we think is going to happen and how everything is going to go down. We don't have Kurt with us today, but Kurt has sent across his predictions for me to basically relay onto everybody, so just so that you guys can know what Kurt thinks and what Kurt thinks is going to go down. So without further ado, let's move on with this one, and we'll get started with our first match, which is Cody Rhodes taking on Brock Lesnar. So build up to this one, obviously being the fact that Raw after Mania, Brock would attack Cody as he was sort of getting into that whole tag team match there, obviously, you know, with the fallout of WrestleMania and Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar would do this very vicious attack, and Cody would basically spend the next few weeks trying to get back at Brock bit by bit. So Adam Pearce would be doing his best to try and stop this match from stop the match from happening, the chaos from brewing beforehand, I should say. And obviously waiting until Backlash to try and get everything to go down there and then. Here we go, this Saturday, Backlash is here. I think that this one's going to go down via a Cody Rhodes victory. I can't see a Brock Lesnar winning this myself because it just, in my head, I'm thinking, you know what, with Cody coming off of that loss at WrestleMania, he's got to try and build himself back up again. Obviously, he's been knocked down by Lesnar in the build-up, and he's basically got to try and get himself back into that main event picture once again. So a loss to Brock Lesnar here doesn't really do him any favors, in my opinion. But yeah, I've got to go with a Cody Rhodes victory here. I think that's the most logical choice in my mind, but I've heard little rumors about Brock Lesnar winning, so I'm not really too sure about that one. But yeah, I think it's got to be Cody Rhodes here to get the victory. And then maybe he can go on to some sort of World Heavyweight Championship picture that we obviously see with the new belt that's just come about in the last few weeks. Lovely piece of kit, by the way, must say. Yeah, Cody Rhodes to get the win. Scarlett, what do you think of this one, buddy? Who thinks going to get the win?
Yeah, I feel like this one could go out one of two ways, one of which being Brock winning and Cody continuing his hard times storyline, which they seem to be pushing. I feel like personally, Cody winning this match doesn't really flow with that storyline, simply because if that is the storyline we're selling, then, you know, getting attacked once by Brock and then, you know, almost beating Roman Reigns in his historic run with a bunch of interference against him doesn't quite resonate as hard times for most. So because of that reason, I think this is why Brock's going to win this. I think they have more to benefit from that hard time storyline if he loses this as well. But instead of him winning and then just kind of selling what little was done as the hard time storyline. So that's why I think Brock's going to win this. It just makes a lot more sense. That being said, it is hard to, as much as we don't want to look in the past, had Cody won his match at WrestleMania, how much bigger this match could have been is a little disappointing. But anyways, it should be a fun match, as fun as a match with Brock can be. It'll be interesting to see how this one goes, but I'm excited for this one. Back to you, KP.
Yeah, I mean, it really could, I think, go either way. I am kind of looking forward to this one, but, you know, like you said, as much as a Brock Lesnar match can be. Kurt has voiced his opinions. He says that he thinks that Cody is going to win this match. So I guess a 2-1 basis on that one between the three of us. So yeah, Kurt going with Cody to get the win. Okay, let's move on now to another match, and this time we're going to be talking about the United States Triple Threat match, which obviously includes the likes of Bronson Reed and Bobby Lashley. They're challenging the champion, Austin Theory. So we've seen Austin Theory actually pick up the United States Championship in this particular run to kickstart the run in a Triple Threat match. So obviously he went against Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins, who was the United States Champion at the time, and he would come out of that one with the win, obviously holding the title until this day. And I think that's going to be no different in this one as well. I think that considering the draft that's recently been and gone, and you've obviously had the likes of Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory go over to Friday Night SmackDown, Bronson Reed staying on Monday Night Raw, you kind of got to think that it isn't really going to be Bronson Reed because of that basis. Obviously, you got the Intercontinental Champion Gunther being drafted over to Raw with Imperium. So they're not going to have both mid-card titles on the same show. That just wouldn't make a lot of sense to me. So obviously it's going to go to SmackDown, which means obviously it's going to be either Bobby Lashley or Theory. I think that, Lashley, as good as he is, probably is above the United States Championship picture at the moment. And now that he's going to be on the same brand as Roman Reigns, maybe they can sort something there. But yeah, I think it's going to be Austin Theory to win this one. He's having a great run as the United States champion so far. And I'm looking forward to seeing him picking up a really good victory here in this triple threat match. So yeah, I think it's going to be like that. Maybe a heelish sort of win. Maybe like Bobby has taken out Bronson Reed, and then Theory somehow gets Bobby out of the ring for a couple of seconds, just giving him enough time to get the pin. Maybe on Bronson Reed. Maybe that's what situation here. But yeah, maybe like a sneaky victory for Theory. But either way, him retaining is what I'm going to go with. Scarlett, what do you think, man? Who would you go for on this one?
Yeah, as mentioned about the draft, unfortunately, I think this plays a part in why I think most people don't care for the draft being when it was. You wait for the draft to be another week later, and then you don't run into issues like these. But as KP attested to, I too don't believe that Bronson will win this title simply because he's moving shows, and having the two mid-card titles wouldn't make a lot of sense. That being said, I would like Theory to get a big win here and just be the better wrestler off one of these two big guys. I think him beating Bronson would be without having some sort of heel-like tactics would be a huge for him. And then him going off to Raw, they kind of act like that's a clean slate anyway. So could pick up an opportunity like that. But based on how he wrestled at Mania, I'm sure there will be some hairless tactics used here. I just don't see Bobby Lashley eating a pin, especially with him likely being one of the next contenders for Roman's belt again. So I think Theory's probably going to win this. I'm just not sure how over Bronson Reed. Back to you, KP.
Nice one, buddy. Thank you very much. So a couple of opinions there saying that Austin Theory is going to win. Me and Scarlett sharing the same opinion. Kurt doesn't think the same thing as us, though. He thinks that Bronson Reed is going to win the United States Championship, and he thinks he's actually going to pin Austin Theory in doing so as well. So, bold statement there from Kurt, perhaps. I don't have any further detail regarding what Kurt says. It's just literally who he thinks is going to win, and that's basically all I've got to go with. So, whatever Kurt thinks regarding that, maybe we'll get some more from him after this video, maybe on the next one. Okay, so moving on now, we'll go on to our next match, which is going to be Seth freaking Rollins taking on Omos. And I think for those of you that watch these videos or listen to these podcasts regularly, I think it's it's quite common for us to basically spend a lot of time shitting on Omos and basically saying how much we detest him and all this, that, and the other. I'm going to keep it short today because you guys don't want to be hearing that again. So I think with this match, Seth Rollins against Omos, I think it's got to be Seth freaking Rollins to get the win in this one, purely because of the fact that I think Seth has bigger things lined up afterwards. I don't think Omos is going to be a key thing here for Seth. I mean, this match came out of nowhere, right? There was no build really to it at first, in the build up to making the match. It was just sort of was announced, then we were like, wait, what, why? Okay, this is odd. And then since then, there hasn't really been much of a build either. They were in the ring once. I think there was a little promo on Raw a few weeks ago, and Seth absolutely killed it during the promo. Omos was just, sort of stood there and listening to it. But I think it was all sort of centered really before that, around the World Heavyweight Championship that had just been unveiled. And Seth, for me, wins this match and then goes on to, compete in that tournament and possibly even win that World Heavyweight Championship, on the back of winning that tournament. So I think it's going to be something like that. I can't really see Seth losing this one because otherwise it just sort of derails his momentum a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's got to be Seth Rollins winning this. I can't really see Omos getting a win here, even though he lost at Mania. I think it's going to be Seth going over Omos. That's what I would say in this one. Scarlett, do you think differently to me, buddy? What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one's tough just because even though I think Rollins can take any number of pens and still be okay, unaffected, I think they're kind of in a tough situation here because I think Rollins is obviously one of the head runners for the new title. But that being said, Omos just lost to Brock. So him taking another loss by an individual much, much smaller than Brock, I'm not sure how that would be perceived in his character kind of scope here. Yeah, this one's tough. As much as I would love to see Omos no longer wrestle and, yeah, continuing on KP's trend of, we all dislike him, don't get why he's still around. Yeah, I'm not sure how Omos can continue this, this giant gimmick if he's losing, back-to-back matches. And so anyway, this one's a tough one, but I think the importance of keeping Rollins high is better than whatever this experiment going on with Omos is. So it's a weird match with almost no build, and I don't think anyone's looking forward to it. So this will be interesting to see how this one plays out. But I too will go with Seth on this one. Back to you, KP.
Nice one. Thank you very much, Scarlett. Yeah, I mean, all three of us, myself, obviously, Scarlett and Kurt as well, think that Seth Rollins is going to beat Omos. So it's a full house here from the three of us. So let's hope that, come Backlash, Seth Rollins wins this match, and, whatever happens from there goes on. All right, so let's move on now to our next match then, which sees the SmackDown Women's Championship on the line. Zelina Vega challenges the champion Rhea Ripley. And this match sort of comes because of the fact that it's in Puerto Rico. Obviously, Zelina Vega is from Puerto Rico, so it's sort of like a hometown advantage type situation for her. She gets to be included in this match, and she's obviously taken on Rhea Ripley in her first title defense since becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion after defeating Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley's on this great run at the moment. She's one of the baddest women, in the company, and she's killing it. Right? She's absolutely killing it. She's doing such a great job. Yeah, Zelina Vega, wrong place at the wrong time, right? In terms of first challenger up against Rhea Ripley. I don't really see any way, shape, or form that Rhea loses this match to Zelina. I think it's basically just give Rhea the opportunity here to get her title run started in a pretty good way. I'm not going to say it's going to be extremely one-sided or anything like a squash, but I'm thinking Rhea's probably going to take this one in a fair amount of control. Zelina will fight back in the middle, use that sort of hometown crowd to pump her up a bit, and then Rhea will eventually get the better of her and see the match out. So yeah, a simple but effective title defense here for Rhea Ripley, successfully against Zelina Vega. Scarlett, what do you have to say to this one, buddy? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not a prediction. This is a spoiler. Rhea is going to win this, and I actually believe this will be somewhat close to a squash match. I think, as you said, I think Zelina will get in a bit of offense, getting building momentum off the hometown crowd. But that's just it. Without this being where it is, I don't think she'd be anywhere near this match anyways. So I think best case scenario here is Rhea wins, getting, 99% of the offense, while maybe building her up, continuing to build her up as a heel, and maybe Zelina and LWO kind of get a sympathy card here, because they, since debuting, they haven't really won a ton of matches. So maybe that'll be, this will be the turning point for the LWO and them losing this and kind of realizing they need to regroup and hopefully going on some sort of run to make that faction a little more relevant. But yes, I would say bet here is Rhea continuing her championship reign. Back to you, KP.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's another clean sweep here, one way, obviously this time for Rhea Ripley. Kurt also thinks that Rhea is going to retain her SmackDown Women's Championship, so all three of us thinking the same thing for this one. Okay, so let's move on now. Next up, we have got the six-man tag team match, which features the team of the Undisputed Tag Team Champions, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're going to be aligned with Matt Riddle, taking on the Bloodline, and specifically the three brothers of the Bloodline. So you got Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, and Solo Sikoa. So this one has been obviously, typical Bloodline of recent. building up the story quite nicely. Just sort of like going on to that next chapter each here and there. And it's been like a nice steady build into this one. So obviously you had to start off this one at the start of the month after WrestleMania. You had Riddle making his return. Obviously Solo would put him on the shelf for a number of months, and Riddle would make his way back in by coming to the aid of Sami and Kevin, and basically bringing it to Solo Sikoa once again. And it made a lot of sense bringing it back into this one. Obviously, you've had Sami and Kevin sort of like seeing off the Usos in that tag team championship match of recent on SmackDown. That was last week. So, they're far from done as far as this is concerned here. They've still got one big match, the 3 vs 3. It's basically going to be the last of the rivalry, essentially, from what I can gather. Because if you look at it this way, you've got the draft that's just happened. You've got Kevin and Sami and Riddle, so the 3 faces for this match. They're all going to be drafted over to Monday Night Raw. Whereas you got Jay, Jimmy, and Solo, who are all being drafted over as part of the Bloodline to SmackDown. So these guys aren't really going to be involved in each other's business anymore after this. It's basically going to be the last chance before they go separate ways. So this opens up a lot of doors. This opens up a lot of possibilities regarding this one. I don't think this one's literally clear-cut as maybe people might think it is. On the one hand, you could say that the team of Sami, Kevin, and Riddle would get a victory here to basically go out of the feud with a win and, being 2/3 of the team anyway, the tag team champions, sort of like taking those championships back to Raw and basically saying how, they've seen off the Bloodline and they've come out looking extremely strong and they're past it. But then obviously you've got the Bloodline and you've got this brewing situation with the sort of slow-paced disdain of Solo Sikoa against the Usos. So, like, we've seen Paul Heyman and Solo hinting recently in recent weeks that, like, the problem is the Usos, and Solo was meant to have his night on Friday, whatever that really meant. I mean, we could sort of read into it and think maybe, was it this, was it that? But it never materialized because obviously Riddle got involved and stopped that from happening fully. But Solo didn't look particularly happy when the Usos lost the match against Sami and Kevin. So, it looks like they're hinting toward this sort of like maybe inner chaos between the Bloodline. And you could say that maybe a loss for them would allow them to sort of continue that story. Maybe if you insert Roman back into the picture after Backlash on SmackDown, just to sort of like see it all start to crumble. But then you could also say that they're winning this match, maybe just delays it a tad, puts them in the Tribal Chief's good books again for a little bit longer, and sort of stops this whole progression from being straight away. So I think there's a lot of different ways you can go down here, and as obviously I've just described there in all those different ways. If I'm going to pick something from those, I'm actually going to say that the team of Kevin, Sami, and Riddle get the win here. Am I confident about that? Not completely, but I think that's what I'm going to go with. But I think, one of those 3 scenarios is probably going to be what definitely happens from this one. But I'll go with the team of Kevin, Sami, and Riddle to get the win. Scarlett, what do you think, man? Who do you think is going to get the win in this one?
Yeah, and I too am definitely on the fence here. I understand each point of the Usos winning or losing. I think you can take that storyline wherever you choose. But I think the other side, having the face side of it, I just don't think there is much that they gain from beating them. And I also don't think there's much from them losing. I think either way, they're all going to different brands. I don't think it hurts them as much as it would hurt the Usos by losing. Therefore, to what KP said, I believe the Usos are going to win this one. And I think that we're going to further delay that inevitable split of the Bloodline. But I think the Bloodline just has a lot more to fight for here. And that's why I'm going to go with them. Back to you, KP.
Nice one, man. Thank you. Sorry for going on a little bit there. Sort of like snowballed into what I was saying. But I mean, I can completely understand that. I'm not completely sure myself, to be honest with you. Kurt, on the other hand, has said that he thinks the Kevin, Riddle, and Sami will get the win as well. So he's going with the same opinion as me there. But who knows, really? I guess we'll just have to look forward to seeing what happens at Backlash. The Bloodline's always a great story. Okay, so up next, we have got the Raw Women's Championship match that we'll be discussing. And obviously, that sees the champion Bianca Belair trying to fend off the challenge of Io Sky. So we haven't seen a lot of Io in singles competition since she obviously debuted on the main roster. We're going back to SummerSlam now of last year, obviously being with Dakota and Bayley when they came back. Actually, during that Raw Women's Championship match between Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. So this is a really good opportunity for those who haven't really seen a lot of Io Sky in sort of like a one-on-one situation to really see what she's actually capable of and what she can showcase and like offer and bring to the table on the main roster. She's really, really good. For those of you guys that have watched NXT, obviously you'll be knowing exactly what she's kind of capable of. And yeah, obviously when you put her in the ring with someone like Bianca Belair, who is so talented and incredible at what she does, this match only really screams brilliant to me, like it's going to be fantastic. I would imagine, I would hope. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen the likes of Bayley go into a match against Bianca Belair in this run that she's been having, obviously this very long run. But obviously this time, roles reversed. We've got Bayley and Dakota maybe going off the tag titles, and then you got Io Sky going after the Raw Women's Championship. So I think when you look at this one in terms of like a face-to-face value, I think Bianca Belair will retain this, but I think this is at the very least an opportunity for Io to sort of like basically make people aware of what she's really, really capable of. And for me, I think that's good to get from this. I don't think she needs to win the championship here, but at the same time, she can sort of like make a statement, and I think that's important for her. So maybe stepping out the shadow of Bayley and Dakota, going into her own, like just to sort of like given the chance here to compete against one of the best in Bianca. I think that's a really great opportunity for her, sort of thing. But yeah, Bianca to retain in what is hopefully going to be a pretty barnstormer of a match and one that's going to be very enjoyable to watch. That's what I would like to hope for. So yeah, that's my opinion regarding this one. Scarlett, what would you like to offer here?
Yeah, when this match first announced, I have lots of high hopes simply because Io hasn't really gotten the recognition she deserves on main roster yet. To what KP already attested to, those of us that watch NXT know what she can do, but unfortunately just haven't seen that on the main roster yet. So hopefully this is not the last time we see her in the title picture. That would be quite disappointing. But I think this match could be the sleeper of the entire pay-per-view. I think this, between the two extremely athletic talent this here, I think this could potentially be a pretty good match that I don't think a lot of people don't kind of think it's just a throwaway match. But yeah, I think worst case scenario, I think Io opens some eyes. But inevitably, I do think Bianca will end up winning and retaining. And we're not quite to the Roman levels yet, but I think some people are kind of wondering who's going to take down Bianca because, kind of running out of competitors here, especially on the already short women's roster. But yeah, that being said, I think Bianca will retain, but hoping that Io can show some people that aren't familiar with her work a little more what she's all about. Back to you, KP.
Nice one, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's going to be really, really good to watch. I'm excited for this one. I really, really am. Regarding Kurt's opinions for this one, he has gone with a Bianca Belair retention of the championship. So, yeah, he thinks that Bianca's going to retain. So we're all in the same boat for that one as well. So pretty similar opinions here for most of these matches for the looks of things. All right, so on to our next one that we're going to be talking about. We have got the San Juan Street Fight featuring Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, two Puerto Ricans going at it here in possibly what could be the main event of the show. So, yeah, I mean, regarding this matchup, it just makes a lot of sense, right, to have it at Backlash. Obviously, being in Puerto Rico, you've got two locals, and they're gonna, fight for the opportunity here to come out on top in their hometown, basically in their home country, sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I look at this match and I think, there's a couple of ways this one really could go. You've got the likes of Bad Bunny, this one being obviously celebrity influence, and we've seen what he can do in ring. And he tends to be that sort of competitor who can like really surprise people, raise some eyebrows and stuff, and like what we've seen in the past, like WrestleMania and stuff. And I think he's in the Royal Rumble as well. So like, he can go in the ring. And then you got the likes of Damian Priest, who I don't think has been pinned or submitted since October, I think I saw the other day. So like he's on a really, really good hot streak as well. So, you know, these two guys I think have a lot to offer really regarding this match. And it should be a lot of fun, right? San Juan street fight. I'm assuming it's just going to be a regular street fight, but obviously it's just, you know, because it's in Puerto Rico, they just put San Juan as part of the title there. But yeah, either way, you know, this is going to be a really great match. I think the crowd are going to be really hyped up for this one. Obviously, you've got it could go either way really here. You could say that the Puerto Ricans will be cheering for both guys really, just because they're both, you know, from there. So this could be quite interesting. But I think either way you look at it, there's going to be so much influence in this one regarding interference. You got the likes of the LWO with assisting Bad Bunny, and then you got Judgment Day assisting Damian Priest. It's going to be quite crazy regarding that. And as to who's going to win this one, I think my gut instinct says it's going to be Bad Bunny here. I just got a feeling it's going to happen. I would rather Damian Priest get the win because I think, like, in terms of his current run, he deserves to get the win. But yeah, I just got a feeling that the LWO are going to just be enough to help Bad Bunny get the win here and nullify the effect of the Judgment Day. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Bad Bunny win. But you know, a good way to send the crowd home happy, I suppose, with the Puerto Ricans being involved in that big match. So, Scarlett, what do you think about this one, buddy? Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, if the history has told us anything, I think that when we have a wrestler in there that's not a full-time wrestler, they typically do pretty well on big event pay-per-view type matches. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be an exception. I think Priest has finally been getting a push that, quite frankly, he hadn't been getting for a while. You know, being the least important member of the Judgment Day. And I think most wrestling fans would agree that Damian should get the win here to help kind of continue that trend. But because of how this match has been booked, with all the interference, which I fully expect to get interferences from both LWO and Judgment Day. But I think just because of where it is, and especially if this ends up being the main event, I think Bad Bunny will win this one by some sort of screwy finish that doesn't necessarily put Damian Priest in a bad light. But that's usually how these kind of matches turn out, right? So yeah, I think Bad Bunny will win this. Not a clean win by any means, but I do think that's where this one's going. Back to you, KP.
Thank you very much, Scarlett. So yeah, I mean, Bad Bunny with the win there. I think that that's probably going to happen. But Kurt does not think that it's going to go that way. Kurt thinks that it's going to be a Damian Priest victory from this one. So 2-1 in favor of Bad Bunny. Kurt says differently to us. Is there anything that you would like to add, Scarlett, or is that us all done here today?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think although there are some intriguing matches on this card, a lot of them kind of lack builds, unfortunately. And with the rumors going around that once the draft takes full effect, that'll be Triple H's full-on reign beginning. However much you want to read into that, if you think Vince will always be there, as long as he's with the company and, you know, around, take it with a grain of salt, if you will. But it kind of felt like that was the case for Mania too. Granted, there were a lot of matches, and you weren't going to get a full build for all of those. It was just going to be, it wasn't going to be possible, or at least that's not the route they went. Even though they did have 3 months or 2 months, however long it was. But I think with only 7 matches, you should get a quality build. And a couple of these matches just felt very thrown together. The Io Bianca match, and the Omos Seth Rollins, if you could even call that a build up. But yeah, the show itself, I'm not extremely excited about, but I think those kind of shows typically lead us to, you know, we get low expectations. We typically find ourselves getting surprised and actually having a decent premium live event. So hopefully that's the case here. And on Monday, we're happy with the results and when we do our reactions. Back to you, Gabe.
Yeah, to be fair, I agree there. I think that when it comes to the build, they have been a little bit lackluster as a general. So yeah, kind of disappointing, really. But I'm hoping it's just going to be like a brief period going through that, really, rather than sort of like a long-term thing. Hopefully, it's just like a easing up into sort of like a big build coming out from Mania, obviously, and, you know, through Backlash, then into bigger things like Clash of Champions and Money in the Bank, obviously going forward from there. So yeah, fingers crossed the build to start to improve and stuff. These do kind of feel a bit thrown together and almost forgotten about on some weeks. So, all right. So I guess that'll be it from all of us today then. So thank you very much to everybody for tuning in and listening to this or watching, whichever you are currently doing. Obviously, I've been KP and we've had Scarlett here casting our opinions. Kurt sending in his for me to relay on to everybody else. So yeah, we'll be back with our next video, like we said, with the Backlash reactions and results. That'll be next week. So similar time to this, and yeah, I guess it'll be a case of see you then. So thank you very much for tuning in. This has been another KP Plays YouTube video and Spotify podcast with me, KP, because that would be me, and with Scarlett because that would be him. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.